Prime-time local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
On the second day of the RCMP Youth Academy, students took a look into another department of the force. Our Zach Kenny brings us more.
The RCMP held another class for students to attend near Holy Rosary High School. But today, they focused on forensics.
I like to come into the Youth Academy here and just give them a brief overview of what the forensics discipline entails. It's a little bit of a PowerPoint presentation, just my job in a nutshell. And then after that presentation, it's kind of nice to get to break down into the things that may be a little bit more cooler if there is some cool stuff to the forensics.
The class lasts about 2 hours per department and switches up to show kids as much as possible while they attend the academy.
I love coming to these. I love seeing that the youth are interested in this discipline. Even it's hard to get some police officers that are even interested in forensics. So if we can speak to a few or answer a few questions for some of the youth that may have some career aspirations in forensics, love to chat with them.
And for the students who attended the class, they seem to love finding out about the behind the scenes of crimes.
I'm enjoying it I love it. The forensics was really cool. I've really liked all of it. And the finish training we did was really fun, even though it was really hard.
Most students who attended the course are wanting to pursue a job in the field, so officers give as much info as they can while also slightly training them on the most interesting parts of the job.
Well, these programs are a really good help for anyone that wants to be future RCMP, and it helps build your confidence and an introduction into what it is. So I would say these are really good to help you.
The RCMP hopes that these camps will give future police officers a look into the workforce that they hope to join. Zach Kenny, Primetime Local News.
Exotic animals are coming to the border city this weekend, and our Abby St. John has more on the event.
I'm very happy to be joined here today with Jason Clevitt. He is the founder of the YYC Nature and Education Center, and something very exciting is coming here to Lloyd this weekend. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Now, the Wildlife Festival is coming here to Lloyd. Tell me a little bit about what that is and what is coming, because there's some very exciting animals coming to the border city that I'm very excited about.
So the Wildlife Festival originally was started by Little Ray's Nature Center out in Ottawa. The last time that we were able to bring the Wildlife Festival to Lloydminster was 2019, so we're really excited to be coming back. Last year, myself and our partners at Cobb's Adventure Park here in Calgary took over the Wildlife Festival and brought it so it was more local and based in Calgary, so out of Western Canada, so way shorter of drives. And we're bringing the festival. So this is going to be our 5th date. We've gone to Regina, Saskatoon, Red Deer, and Calgary so far, and it's been fantastic connecting people to animals. So we have 3 exhibits. We have an African exhibit, a Amazon rainforest exhibit, and a diversity of living things exhibit. We have animals on display like tortoises, snakes, ferrets, a pig, African crested porcupines, and then apparently people are really excited about the sloths. So that's the cool thing to be able to bring.
Yes, it is not your typical petting zoo for sure. I'm most excited about the sloths. I love sloths and I've always wanted to meet one. So on the actual, it's coming this weekend, the February 24th to the 26th. When people show up, what can they expect? I know that there'll be opportunities for them to actually get up close to these animals, pet them, hold them maybe. So tell me a little bit about what they can expect to be doing and all the things that they will be able to learn as well.
So the general admission ticket, it includes the 3 exhibits. We also have 2 rotating stage shows, one focusing on Amazonian reptiles, one focusing on the mammals. So that's where the sloth is going to be on stage. The sloth is also viewable in their habitat. We have actually 2 of them, Lucy and Linus. And then we've got about 50 animals. Also included in general admission is the opportunity to pet lots of them. So the ferrets, the wallabies, the pig, the porcupine, snakes, lizards. The sloths, they can only tolerate so much. One of the questions we've been asked a lot is, do we get to hold the sloth? And the answer is no. I have never even held the sloths. Holding them like upright like a baby would be kind of like me dangling someone by their legs for 7 hours. So it's not good for them, and also they don't like it. So we don't want anybody to get bit. And believe it or not, sloths do have some pretty impressive teeth. So we do have the experiences as well. So everyone will get to see the sloth, see it up close, get a picture with it in the background. We do have the opportunity to get really up close and personal, take some pictures with them, pet them, and feed them. That's $50 in advance, $55 at the door, and is a great experience. People have been raving about that. Some of the other experiences we have include holding the wallabies and cuddling them, which is one of my favorite things to do. Sitting in with our porcupines and getting to pet them and have them. They're incredibly affectionate. They're hand raised, so it's not like a wild porcupine. We also have snake, lizard, and tortoise and pig experiences. So those are all additional costs. But with a general admission, we realize not everyone can necessarily do the different experiences. So you will get a chance to pet several animals. You will get the shows, the exhibits. So there's lots to do even with the general admission ticket price.
That sounds amazing. And again, like I mentioned, it's not your typical petting zoo with like the goats and the rabbits and stuff. This is a real opportunity to learn more about animals that aren't necessarily native to our country, and get to learn more about other animals from different countries and all that. Is that kind of the purpose of what you guys do, coming to different spots, like you said, Calgary, Lethbridge, Regina, all those places? Is that kind of the point of what you guys do for the learning opportunity for people outside of Calgary, where the education center is located?
Yeah, we have a couple of different messages in our programming. A big one is responsible pet ownership. Whether on the Alberta side or the Saskatchewan side, there's different animals that anything that's not a dog or a cat is considered exotic. And so we do have a really big message of like responsible pet ownership and doing your homework before you bring home and get a pet. So that's a big part of it. Conservation. We talk about the fact that our sloths were born in Florida. They have no idea what the wild is, but unfortunately, a lot of times if you're in another country like Brazil or Panama or Costa Rica, and there's some person standing on the side of the road with a sloth trying to do photo ops for 25 bucks, how that animal is probably taken from the wild and a baby and not being cared for properly. We have had thousands of people come through our doors so far, and we'll continue to do so with the last 4 days on this tour. And they all have a common denominator in that they all love animals and want to learn about them, or their kids have whined and complained until they gave in and brought them. By the way, that's a beautiful thing to have people come together with a love and a passion for something, for animals, for seeing, for connecting with them is really beautiful. And I know in these audiences we're going to have our future veterinarians and biologists and people that are going to be passionate about animals and make a difference in the world. So that's really what it is about. It's the people and the connection and our animals.
Yes, and that's fantastic. And animals do really bring people together, which is spectacular. Now, finally, if people want to buy tickets, how can they do so? Where do they have to go to purchase those?
So you can buy your tickets in advance at wildlifefestival.ca. They're also available at the door. And one of the things I did want to mention as well that's really exciting this year, because I wrote it and created it, I'm actually doing an adults only night on Friday night. So it will be licensed. So it's 19 plus. So at 6:30, we're going to have to kick everyone that's underage out the door. So plan for that if you're coming on Friday afternoon. And then we have a adult show. So it is a little R-rated and definitely adult content, because I get to talk about all the things that you can't talk about with animals and kids. So it's a really fun time, and that's been getting great reviews as well. So highly recommend if you're looking for a good date night or something to come and check that out. And the info is all on wildlifefestival.ca, and definitely check out our social media. We're going to be giving updates on like show times and sort of some behind the scenes looks and things like that as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. And it's going to be a fantastic event. I already know. And it's a fantastic opportunity for all age ranges to learn more about what you guys do and about animals that they probably had no idea about. So thank you so much for joining me, and good luck this weekend.
My pleasure. We're excited to be back in Lloydminster, and I can't wait.
And it's always great to see on Kindness Wednesday all the purple and pink and different kindness shirts around the community. It's always a great way as well to raise money for Beyond Borders here in Lloydminster through the Lloydminster and District Co-op. Well, now let's check in with Shelby Clark for a look at weather on this cold day.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jace Mackey. Nice to have you back with us here today. And yes, happy Kindness Wins Day today. Hopefully everybody is spreading that love, kindness throughout the community. Really important to do so. And if you're wanting to check out this merchandise, the 2023 merchandise, that secret color being purple, love to see it. Make sure to go check those out at the co-op stores and the grocery store and whatnot, because you will be able to get a nice shirt, but they sell fast, so make sure to get out there. So really happy to see that everyone is spreading that love throughout the community on this cold day, like you were saying, Jace, because yes, we are just sitting at -26 here in the border city, unfortunately. We are seeing those cool conditions kind of continue on through the week. We are in that extreme cold warning right now for here in the border city, because with that wind chill is feeling around -35, so please make sure you are layering up, making sure you got some nice thick winter coats, maybe some snow pants. I know we had a co-worker today having the whole gear set up with gloves and a toque and everything. Make sure you are layering up and staying warm out there, because that is quite important. Switching over to temperatures across the region for Alberta and Saskatchewan. On the Alberta side, most spots are around -26, -27, as we are getting closer to that -30 mark. Definitely cooling down quite a bit for today. Some spots are just around -25 for Edmonton, up a bit higher, slightly warmer just by a few degrees with -23 in Cold Lake and Bonnyville, and of course Lacleviche just at -21. Now as we switch over to our Saskatchewan side, they are definitely matching with us with those conditions on the Alberta side. Most are around -25 degrees to -27. Looking at those -22s in most spots up here with Isle Cross, Green Lake, and Pearceland, so just by a few degrees. They are slightly warmer, but you know, still seeing past that -20 mark. And of course down in North Battleford, looking the coolest on the Saskatchewan side with -27. Then tonight they will be going down to low of -30, so dropping down by a few degrees for their evening low. So of course hitting that cool -30, and with that wind chill feeling closer to that -40, so that extreme cold warning will continue on for North Battleford. Then tomorrow slightly warming up to -20 for the daytime high, although seeing a little bit more cloudier conditions, unfortunately. Cold Lake will be going down to low of -32 for their evening low, so definitely seeing that extreme cold warning going on through the evening for Cold Lake tonight. Please make sure you got no outdoor activities you are planning for tonight. Then Cold Lake will be expecting -19 for their daytime high tomorrow, and hopefully expecting a little bit more sun peeking behind those clouds, but won't be saving them too much. Let's just say that. It's going to be quite cool. For us here in the border city, we will be going down to low of -28 for our evening low, so we aren't quite hitting that -30, but of course with that wind chill, it will be feeling around -35 to -40 degrees tonight. Please make sure to plug in those vehicles. Don't be doing outdoor activities like I was saying. Then tomorrow we will be expecting that daytime high of -20, although expecting another gloomy day tomorrow. So please make sure you are going to be layering up and still enjoy your day, because of course we were expecting these winter temperatures to kind of hit us sooner rather than later. And now ending off with a look at one of your weather photo submissions. Thank you to everyone that have submitted. You please continue to do so. I will use them on my weather segments. There's a nice one here from Michelle. Thank you so much for this gorgeous shot. Absolutely love to see it clearly. Probably on vacation somewhere. Probably on vacation somewhere. Love to see it. And that's all I have for now. With more coming up after the break.
The Lakeland Rustlers men's basketball team played their last game of the season over the weekend. Our Callan Dunlop has a recap.
The Rustlers, entering the game with a record of 13-6, faced off against Lethbridge, entering with a record of 16-4. This contest started slow for Lakeland, being down by as much as 15 entering halftime.
In that first quarter, we're kind of going through the motions. We weren't disciplined, weren't going with the game plan, letting them do what they wanted. And that changed after halftime.
The second half brought newfound life to the Rustlers on both the offensive and defensive end, outscoring Lethbridge 31-10 in the fourth quarter alone, as well as getting 4 team steals throughout the quarter. Led by Johnny Mims' 25-point performance, draining 4 threes throughout the second half, the team managed to scrape out a win 83 to 72. Despite having an offensive outburst, Mims credits this win to their defensive abilities.
Well, we know what type of defensive potential we have when we lock in, so we just got back to, like I said, our principles of playing hard defense, helping the helper, playing all out, and that's what led us to the win, and we could do that every single time.
On top of the team's ability to mount a comeback, another factor at hand was home court advantage.
Oh, anybody that was here had emotion. The gym was rocking, and that was our sixth man tonight. With them, that's how we got the win. We got extra energy. We wanted to win for them, and it was definitely a great experience for everybody.
With this win, the Lakeland Rustlers finished their season with a 14-6 record, finishing second place in the North Division. The team begins their postseason journey on March 2nd. Callan Dunlop, Primetime, Local News.
Curling season is well underway here in the border city with the Synergy Super League final taking place last night. Our Thomas Wildman has more.
The Synergy Super League playoffs started at the beginning of February. These 5 teams are an elite group of curlers here in Lloydminster.
We had 5 teams for our Super League this year. I think we had about the same number last year. It's been holding steady. This league's been around for more years than I can even remember. So we've been running it for about 10 or 15 years, and it's been pretty good high-level curling in Lloydminster.
These 5 teams were whittled down to 2 for the final matchup, a rematch of last year between Team Tyson Armstrong and Team Ryan Dice. The opening end was a 4-ender steal by Dice, however Armstrong battled back.
I wouldn't say that we started ideal. We had the hammer and gave up a steal of 4, but we kind of battled back, tied it up, lost the lead again, and managed to come back and squeak one out in an extra end. So that was an exciting finish for sure.
The other leagues at the Lloydminster Curling Club will continue into mid-March. Thomas Wildman, Primetime, Local News.
And now it's time for us to check in once again with Shelby Clark and her pink shirt.
Thank you so much once again, Mr. Jace Mackey. Yes, pink shirt day. Wrapping it good, wrapping it good. Now taking another extended look at your weather forecast, we'll be starting off with our central zone of the provinces. And on the Alberta side, of course, we have dropped down from what we were even looking at yesterday, seeing even closer to those mid-20s, getting closer to those minus 30 lows. So we are seeing definitely some cooler conditions for right now. Most spots are seeing past minus 20 with minus 21 in Jasper. The rest have cooled down quite a bit. Minus 22 to minus 24 degrees seems to be the right track for most spots over on the Alberta side, and Edmonton is looking the coolest with that minus 25. So definitely have cooled down quite a bit for right now. Switching over to our Saskatchewan side, they are kind of matching with us with those conditions, although some spots closer to those minus 30s. Looking at that minus 27 for most areas with North Battleford and Saskatoon, minus 28 over in Melfort. Then we are seeing that minus 23 in Prince Albert, matching with up in Cold Lake, and minus 25 there in Meadow Lake. Now as we go over to our northern zone, they actually are kind of seeing the same conditions as what we are looking at in our central area. They were looking a lot cooler yesterday, but now they are kind of not warmed up, I would say, but by a couple degrees, sure. Minus 19 there in South End, while the rest have cooled down quite a bit from there with minus 21 in Flin Flon. Most are just sitting at minus 22 degrees, and up in Uranium City and Stony Rapids, definitely looking the coolest with that minus 24. And as we go back over to Alberta side here in our northern area, they haven't warmed up at all compared to yesterday either. Most spots are seen past that minus 20. We are seeing some in those teens still with minus 17 in High Level, minus 19 for Slave Lake and Fort Chipon, and the rest have cooled down. Minus 20 in Fort McMurray. Peace River is just at minus 22, and Grand Prairie is seeing the coolest conditions there with minus 25. So some spots are going to be seeing that extreme cold warning not only in place right now, but continue on through the evening for sure. And now as we go over to our southern zone, they have cooled down quite a bit. Even some spots seeing cooler from what we have been seeing yesterday, with now all seeing well past that minus 20 area. Minus 21 degrees for Medicine Hat and Banff, all is minus 22 for Lethbridge. And then we are seeing the coolest conditions for Calgary and Coronation with minus 24 and minus 26. So some spots definitely are getting closer to that minus 30, which, you know, is not too exciting to see, but as we expected it for the winter season, that was bound to happen. We were getting spoiled for quite a while. Going over to our Saskatchewan side now, in our southern zone, they have cooled down quite a bit as well compared to yesterday. Now even getting closer with most spots to that -30, especially for Swift Current, Kindersley and Yorkton, -25 to -27 degrees, and the rest are just a few degrees past that -20 point. So we have quite cooled down for today. Hopefully everybody's still enjoying it and layering up when they should be, and driving carefully as well. Now looking at some evening lows for our temperatures tonight. As I was saying, that extreme cold warning will be in place for most spots in our surrounding areas. Provost and Paradise Hill will be expecting low of -28 to -29, so not hitting that -30, but of course with that wind chill they definitely will be. They will be feeling around -35 degrees, and then for the rest with Isla Cross, Bonnyville and Meadow Lake, they will be expecting that low of -31 tonight, and with that wind chill even feeling closer to that -40. So definitely have that extreme cold warning in place for our surrounding area. Please make sure to plug in those vehicles if you have one and have those cords ready, and try not to do any outdoor activities tonight. Try and stay inside as much as possible and stay warm. And if you're outside, please make sure you are layering up pretty heavy. Looking at our hourly forecast for tomorrow, or Thursday in the border city, we are starting off quite cool with that -28. As we go through mid-afternoon, we will be hitting that -21 for our daytime high, and then we will be cooling down by a couple more degrees tomorrow evening. So we're expecting another gloomy day tomorrow. Please make sure you are staying safe out there and layering up, not trying to bust out any of those spring or summer clothes. I know some people like to try and believe that we are in spring already, but let's be honest. And now looking at our extended forecast, we will be expecting that gloomy day tomorrow, and then expecting a little bit more sun on Fridays to start off the weekend, so that hopefully will warm things up slightly with -19. But don't worry, on the weekend we will be warming up drastically and hitting that -9 on Saturday. That's all I have for now. Our Jason Mackey will have more news coming up for you after the break.
Today I'm super excited to be joined here with Ray Ann, who is the superintendent of Buffalo Trail Public Schools, and we're going to be talking about the Women in Leadership event coming up on March 9th. So can you start off by telling me a little bit about what this event is all about?
Absolutely. This is our third International Women's Day event, and it's meant for the people in Buffalo Trail Public Schools to support each other, to mentor each other, network, and ensure we're bringing awareness to supporting women in leadership and equity throughout not only Buffalo Trail, but also the province and nationally as well.
And what is this year's event going to be looking like?
Oh, this event will be very exciting for us. It's our first in-person event. We will have supper for the participants, and Darcy Lang, a motivational speaker, will come and share the evening with us. And she has written a book, Embrace the 90%, and she will give us tips and tools to ensure that we're embracing the 90% and living our lives to the fullest. As we know, as female leaders, within our industry, we have many hats to wear, and she'll give us some tips to ensure that we're living our life to the fullest.
Yeah, this sounds like a super fun event, but you had actually mentioned that your previous events were online. So how has this year's event evolved from that?
Yeah, well, our first year we had Senator Paula Simons and a Vice President of Athabasca Oil come and join us for and a Google event, and they shared some of their mentorship and advice for us. Last year, we had Dr. Wainwright Stewart, the president of Lakeland, join us virtually again. So this year, we get to sit at tables, we get to have a meal, we get to sit shoulder to shoulder with our colleagues who believe in the same cause and want to share our stories and learn from each other. So I'm very excited for this year's event.
And can you just speak a little bit on why this event is so important?
This is so important to raise awareness for women in leadership. In Alberta, 75% of teachers are females, but yet when you get to the superintendent level, we have only 20%. So we don't have equity yet. We need to build awareness. We need to support our female people coming up into those leadership roles, show them how they can do the role and do all those other things in life as well. As Darcy says, embrace the 90%. So it's very important that we do this so we do have equity for our children.
Yeah, and I think that's such a beautiful message, and I'm super happy that you were able to provide this for the community. And I guess that kind of goes into my next question, if this is open for anybody or if it's only for the people in the Buffalo Trail School Division.
This is open to everyone this year, Reese. I hope to see you there. We really want to support people within the community as well who feel that bringing awareness is very important. So we have reached out to different businesses within Wainwright and Vermilion and surrounding areas. We have ads in the paper. We've posted this on our website. So this year we want to see a group of people who believe in the same cause come together and support each other as we make a difference in the future.
And is there anything else that you want to add about this event?
Well, I certainly hope to see a lot of you at our event. It's March 9th in Wainwright at the Communiplex, and we're going to have a very lovely evening.
Awesome. Well, it was a pleasure speaking with you, Rayanne, and I can't wait to see what this event has for turnout.
Thank you, Reese.
Furniture set and design supplied by Furniture Gallery and Furniture House, downtown Lloydminster.
Stephanie Dobson is back with us once again this week as we continue to talk about going through the divorce and separation process. Stephanie is a lawyer and mediator here in Lloydminster with Hankett Divorce Law and Mediation. So Stephanie, today we're talking about one of these things that pops up always in Lloydminster, and it's the cross-border issue. So no different for the divorce and separation side of things. So what's the difference with how separation is dealt with, Stephanie, based on which side of the border you live on in the Lloydminster area?
So there are parts of divorce that are federal, and there's parts of divorce that are provincially regulated. So when we talk about the capital D divorce, so going from married to legally unwed, that is actually federal. So frankly, it doesn't matter which province you're in. So issues like child custody, child support, well, we call child custody now something different, but decision-making responsibilities, parenting of the children, child support, spousal support, that legislation is all federal. Now, depending on which province you live in, the treatment may be slightly different as to how they apply those issues, but the legislation itself is federal. Now, the division of your assets and debts, that is going to be different for each province. So whether you're married or just living together, it's completely different legislation from that federal divorce legislation.
So let's get to that a little bit further, Stephanie. So is there a difference if you are living together versus if you are actually married?
So again, there's the provincial legislation versus the federal legislation. So if you're married, we're looking at the Federal Divorce Act. If you're unmarried, we're looking more at the provincial legislation. So we talked a moment ago about property division. So property division is always dealt with under the provincial legislation. So in both Alberta and Saskatchewan, married couples will always fall under that provincial legislation called the Family Property Act. Actually, both provinces have the same name of the legislation. And that helps determine their right to divide their assets and debts on separation. Now, that same legislation also applies to some unmarried former couples in both provinces. So, of course, there's legal definitions around whether that's going to apply to you or not. But basically, in Alberta, the unmarried couples are called adult interdependent partners. And in Saskatchewan, they're called spouses. So anyways, we won't get into the details of that, but you really have to fall under certain categories and have lived together for a certain length of time and have certain hurdles you go over if you're unmarried, but definitely it applies to unmarried people in both provinces.
Well, what are some of the issues that can be created, Stephanie, if there is a move post-separation? And as you know, especially in Lloydminster, it's very easy to move from one side of the border to the other. So what issues can be created because of that?
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. There's lots of times where people will come into me and they say, "Well, I've rented a house on the Saskatchewan side or on the Alberta side," and okay, well, where was your family home? Oh, it was on the other side. So it can create some issues. So let's just talk about when you apply for a divorce. So a divorce, although you don't have to physically be present in court, we've talked in other episodes about negotiation processes to keep you out of court, but to become legally unwed, you have to file papers in court, in a superior court in one of the provinces. So in Alberta and Saskatchewan, we've got the Court of King's Bench, of course, which was formerly known as the Court of Queen's Bench. So in order to be eligible to apply for that divorce, that capital D divorce in one of those superior courts in either Alberta or Saskatchewan, one of the spouses has to have been resident in a particular province for 12 months. So it doesn't have to be both spouses, it just has to be one. So if one of the spouses has recently moved to Saskatchewan, say, but the other spouse still lives in Alberta, then we can still apply to Alberta for the divorce. The problem can really arise if both spouses move to wherever, right? So both spouses say move to Saskatchewan and they used to be residing in Alberta, then we have to wait until someone's been resident in a province for that full 12 months before we can actually finalize the divorce. Even if that 1 year of separation has already passed, it doesn't matter. There's no jurisdiction until you've actually been residing in that province for that year.
Now, does it further complicate things when you're going to hire a divorce professional? And, in regards to the provincial boundaries, does that make a difference as well?
This cross-border thing, there's so much that's complicated around it. So of course, the answer to that is going to be yes. Everything's complicated with cross-border. So the lawyers are regulated provincially. So when you're inquiring at a law office, if you can use their services, especially when we're here in Lloydminster, we're going to ask, what the applicable province is. Now, if you're somewhere like Edmonton or Saskatoon, the law office is probably going to assume, okay, this is probably a Saskatchewan matter, probably an Alberta matter. But the lawyers in Lloydminster, most of us are registered in both provinces because, of course, we generally have cross-border clients. There's some other centers close to Lloydminster where the lawyers are also duly registered, but you may be surprised to know that there's some lawyers, for example, in our area that might be registered in British Columbia, or lots of Alberta lawyers are also registered in the Northwest Territories. They have a big shortage of lawyers in the Northwest Territories physically, and so lots of Alberta lawyers can actually practice up there. So if you have cross-border issues, of course, it's just good to be mindful, I suppose, of your divorce practice. The last point I'll make is that the Law Society has made what's called the National Mobility Program, and that actually allows lawyers to practice temporarily in another jurisdiction. So I could, for example, take on an Ontario case as an Alberta or Saskatchewan lawyer for a certain sort of, one file or for a certain number of hours in a year. It's all very highly regulated, but there are some exceptions where we can help even if it's not in our province, but laws are different everywhere. So we always have to make sure that we're competent before we can do that.
All right, Stephanie. Well, thank you so much for joining us once again. So much information surrounding this. It seems like, every week we stir up this hornet's nest of new and different complications. So thanks for clearing it up a little bit, and we'll chat with you again next week.
Thanks, Stacey. Ending off with a quick look at your extended forecast here. We will be expecting another gloomy day tomorrow, so please be prepared to layer up. It will be -20 and seeing a gloomier day, unfortunately, but don't worry. Friday, starting off the weekend, we will expect a little bit more sunshine, although we won't be warming up by too much at -19. Then as we head into the weekend, another switch up. We will be going back to those single digits with -9 and -6 with a mixture of some sun and cloud both days. So make sure to get outside and enjoy it for the weekend, because then we will be continuing those warm conditions into next week on Monday at -6, but then we will be dropping down slightly next Tuesday and Wednesday, and even expecting a high chance of some flurries next Wednesday.
All right, thank you so much for that, Shelby. I'm looking forward to those little bit warmer temperatures on the weekend. Well, that does it, though, for us tonight for Primetime Local News. Thank you all so much for joining us. Have a good night, and I'll see you again tomorrow.